Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur podcast. I'm Dr. Ben Spears, the ambassador, the doctor of flow.
The doctor of
I like
flow?
that better, right? Because I've earned that. Right, I'm not an ambassador.
Haven't earned that yet.
I haven't earned that yet. So
Maybe it's coming.
Yeah, maybe it's coming. We'll see. I'm here with the big guy as usual.
If they put an embassy in like Recruitopia.
Yeah, like Pikeville.
That's right. Pikeville.
Yeah, I would be an ambassador there for sure. Those are my peeps.
Yep.
I'm here with the big guy as usual, real estate industry expert.
Uh-oh.
Going to be talking on Entrepreneur Magazine's webinar September
so
21st. Super pumped for that. Super pumped for my dude Matt Vi. How's it going, Matt?
Doing good. I'm so excited about the 21st.
Yeah.
Right. So it's giving me the chance, right? You want to always be ready for something like that.
Oh yeah.
And so of course, you know me, I'm always looking into things and checking stuff out and all that. And so this is giving me some hyper focus on some things to think about. And there's just so much great information out there, but it is a sea of it. But this has forced me to kind of pay close attention to certain things that we're gonna talk about, and so I love that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so I just got to get on there and do my thing, and it's gonna be fantastic. So,
Yeah, you crush it every time you do stuff like that. So zero worries on my part. All I have to do is just make sure the camera's charged. That's kind of my role, guys. I'm the ambassador of batteries. Well, Matt, we're talking about gap justification today, and I'm getting ready to ask you, what that actually means. But before I ask you that, guys, wherever you're listening to this, hit that follow or that subscribe button, and just let me take a deep breath. Go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com and take a sneak peek of our Brokerpreneur Fast Track.
Yep.
You could do, it's a green button right there in the middle of the page. Says take a sneak peek, and let us know what you think. Gosh, come to the Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society every Friday at 12:00 and say, guys, man, I love what you're doing, and how do I get involved? Because we would absolutely love every brokerpreneur to be part of that, and so we can all just learn together.
Absolutely.
So Matt, gap justification.
Right.
I'm imagining, when I hear that, it's like when people ask you, not you, when people ask other people, why you always wear khaki pants and a gray T-shirt?
No,
right? It's my gap. You didn't have to justify it. I got them at the gap.
Could not be farther from what it actually is.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I asked the questions.
Right. I got you.
So what's up, man?
Yeah, so gap justification is how do you correct something? What is the right way to correct something that you see that there is a deficiency in a market?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't want to overdo it or underdo it. That's where the justification part comes into play. Okay.
Yeah.
The gap comes in what's the opportunity? What's not going the way that it should be going?
Yeah.
And then the justification is, don't do too much or don't do too little, or why does that gap need to be filled? Okay.
Yeah.
So a perfect example is housing, right? There's some gap justification needed on affordable housing.
Yeah,
right. So
absolutely.
Prices have went up and all that kind of stuff, and it's going through the roof. And no looking back, right? Inflation. They're trying to get inflation under control, but the way they do that is by slowing the housing market down, slowing spending down, all that kind of stuff. That does not mean that homes are getting less expensive. So there's still a gap in there, and the justification part is, why is that gap there?
Right.
Okay. So if you want to be able to benefit from that as a broker, and you want to be able to help people with that gap, you have to understand why that gap is there.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense.
You have to justify it. You got to figure it out. Right.
The or ask an expert to justify it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And when it comes to gap justification, a lot of this that you'll hear about if you start searching, it's not necessarily going to be in the real estate industry. It's more going to be in the finance industry. It's going to be in insurance, right? You'll hear a lot about it in sorry, excuse me. You hear a lot about it in all of that. Because it's very easy to you guys hear that notification, man. Somebody's blowing it up for us right now.
Yeah, no joke.
So what's happened, where you'll hear a lot about that is is there an underserved market? So I don't want to get sidetracked on this, okay, but life insurance with millennials right now, there's a gap in that. Okay.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
just not buying life insurance at the same rate that, baby boomers did.
Right.
Baby boomers, for a completely different reason, were like, I have to get life insurance. Well, millennials and they're just not looking at life insurance the same way that they're looking that
Yeah,
the
they're
baby
telling their
boomers.
kids, like, make your own money.
Right. And but you have to figure out why. So in the insurance world, they're like, okay, what is it that they really want to do? Why is it that they're really not buying this in order for me to fill that gap?
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yep.
And so there's a lot of that type of information. There's a lot of that type of information out there. But real estate, let's talk about it from affordable housing for just a second.
For
right?
sure.
Okay, so cost of goods is up, right? Labor is up. All of those things are higher, and that's part of the reason why affordable housing is going away. But the other part of the reason why land costs are up, and people can charge more for that house. There has been more demand, and because that's the case, they can charge more for it. So why would they charge less?
Right.
The other thing is people are not moving. They have moved away from the city center a little bit more, right? Because people, we've heard of, especially since pandemic, everybody kind of moved out just a little bit, but it hasn't been enough of a move for it to take the pressure off of the part of the market that is still close to things that are convenient.
Gotcha.
Okay, so in other words, if more people move farther out into the country, it's going to drive the whole overall prices down. That's the best. That's the easiest, silliest way to look at that, right? The more people that get away from the city center, the more that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That'll also bring services out there, but that's part of where that's part of where that gap justification comes in. Is that going to happen?
Yeah.
So if I'm a broker, am I looking at the housing market, and am I looking at who's pulling permits? Am I looking at who's buying land? Am I looking at who's buying things to redevelop them, and what are they redeveloping them for? Okay, so a great example of something that I would look at with this is, there seems to be everywhere we turn. We're in Tampa, right? Clearwater. Right. Man, everywhere you turn, there is just mini storages going up.
Oh, everywhere.
Right? Okay. So somebody's going to lose on that.
You know it.
Okay. I don't know who it's going to be, right? But they're literally just everywhere. Okay. Yeah. And so what I mean by somebody's going to lose on that is at some point that's going to start driving the cost down if they keep going at the rate that they're going right now. Right. So, going, not directly to work, but kind of driving around the part of town that we drive around, there's 2 massive buildings that have opened up, and there's 2 more that are being built.
Yep.
And they're big, right?
Oh, for sure. They're here like car washes are here.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like they're everywhere.
Right. So somebody looked at the justification of that, started on their plan of that, but didn't know what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so with that, let me say something else on that. Apartments are everywhere too, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of apartments going up at the same rate, right? So all of those things, take a close look at the justification of why you're making the decision that you're making, and ensure that gap is still there.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Absolutely.
So that way you don't end up, after building the last mini storage place, self-storage place.
Yeah.
And ending up being what do I say all the time, right? When you're getting stock advice from the cab driver, it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah, they know.
Right.
I mean, by the time they know, everybody else knows.
That's right. And that's probably a great example of gap justification.
Yeah.
What is the justification of why that gap is there, and who knows it, and who's occupying that space, and who's looking at that opportunity?
Yeah. You know what I need to do a podcast on?
What's that?
eBay justification.
Yeah.
I'd be like, so I tell my wife, why'd you buy this on eBay? Hold on, let me go through my eBay justification.
Grid.
Yeah, I just love eBay, guys. I know something about it. It's like a big flea market.
Yep.
So,
in your house.
Yeah, in my house,
right
on my couch.
Yeah.
So
without all the old fruit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's some good fruit. There's 1-2 pieces of good fruit.
Right. Gotcha.
So we're brokers, right? Our listeners, right?
Yep.
I'm representing you guys, right? I'm trying my best.
Right.
We're brokers. What's the opportunity in this?
Hey guys, this episode of the Brokerpreneur podcast is brought to you by the Speculo Group. The Speculo Group is the turnkey solution for agent and brokerage lead generation. With a focus on generating the highest quality leads from platforms like Google, YouTube, Facebook, and more, the Speculo Group is your one-stop shop to dominating your local market and beyond. Visit their website for more information at thespeculogroup.com.
Yeah. So you can help your agents understand, first of all, what gap justification is.
Okay.
Right? Talk to them first and foremost about it, right? Because what you don't want them to do is, so let me give you another example. Okay. So there are a lot of people that are, that got their, I don't remember the exact acronym for the distressed property real estate executive, whatever that is, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a million of them.
Right, yeah. So, right, so a bunch of people got that, but a bunch of people got it late.
Yeah.
Right, a bunch of people spent that money and got that really, really late, right? And then a bunch of people also got the designation for the dealing with elderly, right?
Yeah.
They their SRES and trust and disposal of property type of situations, right? Whenever someone is going through probate or whatever, a lot of people got those type of designations as well, right?
Yep.
The latter, I would think, for Florida still makes sense, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But the former for Florida probably not so much.
Yeah.
Right. And so talk to your agents whenever they're contemplating where they're going to grow their business, and they're saying things like, I'm going to try to get into this new market, I'm going to try to get this new designation, or I'm going to try to do this, or I'm going to try to do that. Have a real conversation with them. How much of a gap is there?
Yeah.
And why is it that you're trying to work in that gap, and who else is trying to work in that gap? And you don't have to have like a 58-hour conversation with them. Just make sure they're thinking about it, right? Just make sure that they're making a fundamental, good, sound decision on why to do that, okay? Not just because the MLS sent something out and said, hey, we've got this class, and this guy's going to be talking about how he did 158 transactions last year from whatever this was, okay?
Yeah.
So come spend money on this class, get the designation, and we're going to pat you on the back and wish you luck, right?
Yeah.
That's not the reason to do that. That's
Right.
not gap justification. That's an impulse buy.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Right.
quite different.
Yeah, quite different. So that's what you want to do. You want to start taking a look at those things in the market. Look at Lawrence Young puts out a great information from National Association of Realtors, and they talk about trends and what's going on in the market. I don't think you can go wrong with figuring out a way to understand what's happening with affordable housing and seeing if there's some way to leverage that.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a gap there for a while.
You know it.
And people are struggling to figure it out. I don't know what the solution is right now. I kind of do know what the solution is, but I don't know what the solution is right now.
We want to know.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you don't have to tell us. Let's save it for another podcast.
Yeah. So commercial is going to be redeveloped is what's going to happen, like malls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's going to be redeveloped. There's just not the same need for that there has historically been in the past, and people are going to want to live in those type of communities as they get older. So I can see malls being cut up into little small condominiums,
Absolutely.
Food courts actually being small restaurants, hair, dressers and all that kind of stuff, and dry cleaners and everything being in there, and then people being able to, buy small condos, right?
Yeah. But, you add a lazy river to that, and I'm in.
Right. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Keep the bouncy house in the middle.
Keep
the theater. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
having a small condo and then just go down to the theater that's got Okay, look out, man.
Shoot.
So anyway, but something, there's going to have to be some type of solution to that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where help your agents understand what that solution is.
Yep, absolutely. So excuse me, we talk a lot about recruiting, right? So it only makes sense for my next question to be,
right.
So there's opportunity, just like you were talking about, but how does a broker use this information when they're talking to agents outside of their brokerage? And trying to recruit them into their office, basically saying, hey, I'm an expert on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so that's so absolutely you need to know about it. You don't have to be an expert on it, right?
Yeah.
But absolutely you have.
But appear.
Right. Yeah.
Perception is reality.
Well, okay. So so just kind of figure out some of what's going on, right? So let's go back to the self-storage thing, right?
Okay.
if you're a commercial broker and there's a lot of self-storage going on and you really know that that's happening in other parts of the country, but it's not happening where you are, right?
Yeah.
Then I would start talking to other commercial agents and saying, hey, what are you seeing in the market, specifically on the self-storage part? Why don't we sit down and kind of compare notes on this, because I'm hearing about it in different places across the country, and I'd love for us to team up and maybe talk a little bit about it and see if there's some way that we could work together to help you get some of that business if you wanted to get some of that business, right?
Yeah.
Affordable housing, same exact thing. So if I was a broker and I was trying to leverage this for recruiting, I would go talk to some lenders that have some type of loans that kind of live in that area, right? Live in that affordable housing sector and opportunity of the market. And then I would figure out the geographic area that matches that. And then I would talk to the lender and say, hey, listen, we want to do some advertising in that area, right?
Yeah.
And then I would start talking to agents that are already productive in that area and say, hey, I'm working with so-and-so that this is lender. We're going to do some, we're going to target some Facebook ads or whatever we're going to do in that area.
Yeah.
And we'd love to lean into the affordable housing part of that. Why don't you come sit down and talk to us and see if maybe us all working together would be a great way of doing that.
Yeah.
Find the gap, understand why the gap is there, truly understand if it is a real gap or not a real gap.
Yeah.
Understand what created that gap, understand the opportunity that gap has, and understand how to close that gap. And once you figure that out, start having conversations with people that might not even realize they're in that gap. Gotcha. Start having conversations with people that might not realize they have the opportunity in front of them. Sit down, talk to them, say, hey, this is the direction we're heading. We'd love for you to come along.
No, I love it. I hope you guys listen to that. That was good. Well, cool. Man, I got one more question.
Yeah, cool. Sweet.
Does this apply to anything else in a brokerage?
Hell to the yeah.
All right, guys. Well, if you're listening to this, I'm not joking. It was a yes or no question.
Yeah. Of course it does.
Yes. Next question.
Yeah. So, yeah, of course it does. Right.
Yeah.
So where are you so I would just take it straight to profitability. Where's your gap in profitability? Mm-hmm. Right. And why is it a gap? So, so is there a gap because you don't do property management? Right. And
Yeah.
everybody else in town does, nobody else in town does property management. That's completely different than everybody else in town does property management.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like resort areas, right? So there's going to be some resort. Okay. So just sticking with that example, just because I'm trying to paint a real clear picture with this. Okay.
Sure thing.
Let's say that I have a brokerage. Okay. And let's say that I'm in a resort town.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say that I'm, someplace that there's just a lot of people that are constantly coming in and out of town because it's,
Yeah, Hilton Head or something.
Yeah, Hilton Head, right? Exactly. That's a great one. So so everybody's doing property management there. Well, if I'm opening a brokerage or I'm trying to grow my brokerage, does that mean that I go, okay, everybody else has got property management. I'd love to open up and do some business on the property management side of things, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. What is the gap there? The gap might be the relationship that other people have that allows them to focus on the part of the business that they're good at. So as an example, you've got a brokerage, you sell 100 units a year, but you're managing 1,000 units, right? You literally only sell the units that your sellers want. Right. Okay.
I was renting right there.
Right. So I open a brokerage or I'm trying to grow my brokerage and I go to you and say, hey, listen, here's what I'm going to do. Anything that I have from a property management standpoint, I want to send your way, okay? Mm-hmm. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to have some of the opportunities on the sales part that maybe you're not that you don't want any part of, right?
Right.
Do you have agents in your office, that are trying to do residential sales, but for whatever reason they're not doing it? And you might say, well, yeah, I get, that's kind of a little bit of what we do. They don't do a whole lot of it and everything. Well, why don't we team up? I'm going to go try to recruit some people. We're going to stay focused on the sales part of it. Maybe we could work together on the property management part, but just know that if I send you property management people when it comes time to sell, I want them to come back to my brokerage, right? So the gap at that point is there's not anybody else in the market doing that. Everybody's trying to scratch out their own little piece.
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Right.
Yeah.
Now you're giving the opportunity to yourself. Hey, I want to be hyper focused on this. You be hyper focused on that. Let's see if there's some way that we can collaborate. We do this all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So
Oh, for sure.
there's stuff with, we could train agents, right? We could,
Of course.
we could, okay, but we don't want to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not being mean about it, but I mean, there's just people that are hyper focused on that piece of it. We want them to help people go to that next level. We help agents get better, and we help by the broker being focused on per person productivity.
Right.
Our focus is not going to the agent and making them more productive, but there's training programs that's exactly what they focus
Absolutely.
on. And so we talk to those people all the time and say, hey, listen, we want you to connect with our brokers and offer that piece of what we do.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not worried about losing that piece of business. We're worried about taking better care of our customer. If you do the same thing, that's going to close the gap so many times in what you're trying to accomplish, and it's going to open up some other doors and other opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Guys, it makes sense to you? Say nothing if it does.
Perfect.
Okay. It don't make sense. I totally get it. If it doesn't make sense, go to the YouTube version of this and put it in the comments and say, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Why would I give business away is the biggest question we would get.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Don't answer it, though.
I can.
No, don't. I don't want you to.
Right.
I want to see if people go to YouTube and ask it.
I love it.
Guys, I'm going to put a little bow on this. Wherever you're listening to this, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching it on YouTube, leave that comment or something like that.
Yep.
You don't have to. If you're just like, no, I know
got
everything
it.
Matt knows.
I got it.
Right? Fine. Still, you can say, just comment that. Comment, I know everything Matt knows.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We're gonna get you on the podcast quick, just so you know.
Yep.
But hit that red subscribe button, that bell right beside of it. Get notified every time we drop a new episode. Go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com. Check out all the cool things that we have for your brokerage, no matter what phase or stage of the business that you're in. Matt, it's Brokerpreneur Podcast, man. We do everything for one reason alone. Tell them what that is.
Because we want to be part of their win, son.
Son?